My name is Hannah.
My name is Maggie.
And we always say, we're also a folk pop duo called Hannah
and Maggie.
You can go, but only if you go home. My dear, in my defense, I don't know stars in the eyes that count them.
We met singing a cappella in an a cappella group at Smith College.
It was great.
Hannah's a year older than I am, so she had been in the group for a year and a semester. I got into the group in the springtime.
I was kind of like jealous of like people who seemed to be her close friends.
You know, we weren't super close. We were, you know, acquaintances, I suppose. A girl came over to us and she said, it would be really awesome if you guys sat down together. This should totally happen. She like pointed to both of us.
In a lot of ways it's like a romantic relationship like that. You can't just walk up to someone and be like, I'm gonna date you. You can't just walk up to someone and say, I wanna play music with you.
I think it was a couple months before we actually got in the same room together for the sole purpose of playing music together. But it was fun. I remember I went to her room and we were just kind of playing covers for each other, and Hannah was like, oh, I'm working on this song, what do you think? And I was doing the same thing. And it was very informal. There was no agenda. It was not like, let's learn a song or let's write a song. It was kind of just a fun thing that we did.
Even then, it still kind of felt like a pipe dream. And then the next year, it just kind of happened. I mean, we knew each other better, and we got together in my room at some point and just with our guitars and sat down.
Until almost a year later that we decided to enter a songwriting contest together as a duo. There's a very well-known festival called Lilith Fair that started in the early 90s, and it was kind of centered around bringing female artists together and having a showcase of just only female artists. So my roommate at the time told me about it. She like put a link on my Facebook and was like, you should totally do this. So I did it. I made a page for myself and I put it on my Facebook. And I remember Hannah saw it, and Hannah, that night at rehearsal for a cappella, Hannah said, do you want to get dinner after rehearsal? Like, I want to talk to you about something.
And I was really jealous and I wanted to enter it myself, but I thought I would be kind of horning in on her.
Stepping on her toes.
Stepping on your toes, right.
So she approached me and said, do you have any interest in doing it as a duo? Like, if we were Hannah and Maggie, we could rally our fan bases. We could put stuff on my YouTube channel and get people to vote there, and you could like contact all of your people on the internet. We actually won the popular vote, like in the voting platform, we were the winners, which was really cool. But then the final round was like a panel of judges that selected a winner, and we didn't get picked, which thank God we didn't, because we had one song. We were like really, it was at the very beginning of our time playing music. I just can't imagine what would have happened if they had asked us to play at Lilith Fair. I think it would have been a total disaster.
Maggie and I have spent a lot of time that we've known each other play music apart, very far. Maggie was in Ecuador, I was in Massachusetts, then Maggie was in Massachusetts, I moved to New York City after I graduated, so a lot of the songs have come out of a process of exchanging files. She'll be like, okay, I like what's happening at 1 minute 20 seconds and 2 minutes 30 seconds. I don't like the bridge. Can you try out something else and send it back to me? Or she'll say, okay, I loved it. I added on a second guitar part and 3 harmonies, and what do you think?
I was going to be away in South America. Hannah was about to graduate. It was her final semester at college. And I was definitely worried that we had put all this time and energy and money into recording these songs, and then I was going to come home and it was kind of going to be like anticlimactic and it was just going to fall off. But I think the combination, Hannah and I are very, I don't want to say emotional people, but we're very, we have similar soft spots for, I don't know, like things that inspire us. And I think her impending graduation and me being so far from home was they were really good catalysts for writing so many songs. So we were talking every day while I was gone. We had a very long Facebook message thread that was just writing music. And she would record something and send it to me on GarageBand, and then I would edit it and record vocals over it, or I would put in like a little percussion and I'd send it back to her, and we would do this constantly back and forth. And we really talked like every day. And it was a really productive time for me to be writing songs, just because it was such a bizarre experience for me being away. It was the first time I lived in a city. It was the first time I was really that far from home for an extended period of time. So I was writing songs. I wrote more songs in that 6 months than I think I've written in any other concentrated amount of time.
we have a song on our new album called Heavy Ever Growing Pines, and that song had like 100 iterations. Maggie sent me the track. I feel like I was being a jerk, but she sent me the track at first, and I said, okay, this sounds a lot like other songs you've written. I like this aspect of it. Can you try other stuff? And I sent that email to her, and then she sent me another version. She moved around, you know, XYZ, and I kept sending emails back being like, I'm not really convinced. Like, I don't think this works yet. And there was probably a dozen to 20 iterations of that tune, of her just moving around the chorus and the strumming patterns and the harmonies, and it's funny to listen back to those early files and hear how far the song came sort of from the original concept.
I was singing every little song I'd written. I was picturing a place whose name had changed with time, reminding me September never shone so bright. Another autumn with a crooked spine, and I will sleep on this tonight.
I think singing songs that are about very specific experiences is a very tricky strategy in like dealing with things, because at least for me, I find that I don't feel like I've dealt with an experience until I've written a song about it. And that's not to say that I just go around intentionally trying to write music and I'm like, okay, I have to sit down and write this song about why I'm upset right now that my car broke down, otherwise I won't be able to get over it and everything will be awful. But I really do feel like once I have this kind of concrete start to finish little 3 to 4 minute thing that kind of digs into something that was meaningful to me, I feel like I can kind of take a deep breath and move on.
And I mean, it really comes from personal experiences. I've seen a lot of people try to figure out what the songs are about, and they really are oftentimes just a combination of events. You know, she's very poetic.
Okay, I'm literally singing word for word about some wonderful or awful or traumatizing or beautiful experience that I had in my life. It's a very vulnerable position to be in, I think. You're very much on the defense, but you can't even defend yourself. You're kind of just saying, here, you can take this, which means a lot to me, and do whatever you want with it.
But that's the beauty of her music.
Well, that's it, because people can really, you know, just apply it to whatever they think it is. So.
But Hannah and Maggie could sing anything, and the sound of their voices is so exquisite, and their musicality is so exquisite.
Most of the songs, one of us is the primary writer. There's a pretty solid handful of songs we've written this way, where one of us will have sort of a chord progression in mind, and then we'll both sit with paper for like 20 minutes. We like put on a timer, or we look at our watches and we say, okay, 20 minutes, free write, go, write lyrics. Try to think of lyrics to go with this chord progression. Whenever that time period is up, we'll talk about the lyrics. It's funny because I never do that when I write music by myself. I'm nowhere near so critical. Maggie and I, when we write lyrics together, we just pick apart every little word and we're like, is that the right word there? And it doesn't sound right. And I don't have that kind of editing process by myself.
And with Hannah, she can do it all. She can play the instruments. She can open her mouth and the most lovely sound comes out. It's rare when you find somebody who sings as beautifully as she does, but can also write and play.
Yeah. She's just got strength. She has strength, musical strength. It's rare.
I don't know. I don't really like writing happy music. It feels too cheesy, or I haven't in the past. It's very difficult for me. I love My Girlfriend, and yet love songs are so difficult for me. I just, for some reason, there seems to be more ways to say sad concepts to me than happy concepts. I mean, how many ways can you say I love you? Probably a lot. How many ways can you say my heart is breaking?
Back. I am lighter than mist, helium in a red balloon in a toddler's fist, lighter than empty.
So we've done 2 very large tours in our time as, you know, people who play music. We've learned a lot about the United States of America in doing these tours. Like everything in life, the more you do it, the more you know about it, and the more you become informed about what is at the core of like a good experience. Much of tour was not great experiences, but learning experiences. We're young, so a lot of times people think we're naive, people think that we don't really know what we're doing. I think that kind of, when people see us, that's one of the first things that crosses their mind. We're also girls, women. That definitely came into play more often than I would have hoped. The vast majority of like young touring musicians are men. I don't think we shared a bill with more than 3 or 4 other women artists, and we had like 58 tour stops or something. We're also gay, so like, say what you want about how the country perceives gay people or queer people. I never liked to believe stereotypes, but it was definitely evident when we were in a situation or an environment that was not accustomed to having like queer looking women around. If there was a disconnect between us and people who were listening, or if there was a hesitancy between people who were trying to understand the music and couldn't really get where we were coming from, I'd say more often than not we attributed it to the fact that we're not like super girly looking girls. There's not a ton that's different between who we are playing a show in San Francisco and who we are playing a show in Omaha, Nebraska. And a lot of times people ask us if we are the way we are on stage in real life, because we have like banter and we like talk and we make jokes and stuff like that, and sometimes people are like, do you rehearse that? Like, do you write this all out? And I'm like, no, I would be even more embarrassed if we did write it down first, because it's so ridiculous and so silly most of the time. More often than not, whatever you get from us when we're playing music in front of you is a very accurate indication of who we are as people.
Well, our Iron Horse show was just so special for so many reasons. The Pioneer Valley generally is the only place on planet Earth where I ever even have the remotest sensation of being famous, because people at Smith have been so supportive of us. I obviously knew about the Iron Horse when I was at Smith. I was so worried about filling it. I was like convinced no one was going to come, and that it was just going to be this awkward thing. If people didn't come, that was it. Like, this was our chance to get in with the Iron Horse people, and if we didn't bring a crowd, they aren't going to make money and they're never going to want to have us back. So just from a lot of perspectives, it was a big show for us, and to have people come and support us and show that, you know, we are capable of filling a venue that size. The crowd was incredible. I mean, the energy, I felt like we did not have to work that hard to feel that we were entertaining people, because it was just such a sweet energy coming out of the room. Yeah, everything about it just felt easy, which is not usually true of all gigs. And so yeah, that was just a pretty great moment for us.
Just the sound of their two voices, the beauty, the purity, the harmonies, I was just blown away.
I watched them watch each other, and you can just tell that they are definitely on the same wavelength.
Yeah, they're connected.
Yeah. Somehow they ended up, you know, stumbling upon each other, because it would have been so easy for them to go to Smith and maybe not have met, you know, or not had that common,
yeah,
you know, singing a cappella, because if they hadn't, they probably wouldn't have, you know, said, we can write songs together, we can play together. You know, it's interesting how fate takes its path.
They haven't begun to hit the heights that they're going to go to yet. They're unique. And, you know, I mean, there are so many people who sound the same, and nobody sounds like them.
Home as we know it going, worn out and overgrown. Take what you came for, knowing the floors that bore you are cold as a winter so warm. The wildest storms have fallen short of this. So young, singing, slow down. Don't you know when you go this time next year, I'll be here to find what you left. Take and we were gone.
You're right. So weird. Why do people ever think we're dating?
I have no idea.
Can't imagine.